Welcome to our Amud Yomi Shiur Kiddushin. We are today in Daf Chaf Gimel Amud Aleph, and right now we're still in Chaf Beis Amud Beis. We still have that Daf to finish off with. We're learning the halachos of how one should acquire an Eved Knaini and how an Eved Knaini buys himself back sometimes. Oh, I'm sorry, from the master. Okay. Tanu Rabbanon. The line, it's about the line starts with the word ashi. It's I think 10 or a few more lines from the bottom of the page. Count from the bottom of the page. Ashi, the word ashi, Rav Ashi is the first word in the line. Tonu rabbanon. So we said that an Eved Knaini is acquired through kesef, shtar. These are quite easy. And chazaka. What's a chazaka? Chazaka, when a person, before we continue into the brisa, I want to tell you what the Ritva says. The chazaka of a house. One of, by the way, what are the three ways to acquire a house or field or a swimming pool or a gas station? Anything that's real estate? Kesef, shtar, and chazaka. Right. Chazaka means you behave like a balabais, right? Okay, and that applies both to lands and to avodim. When it comes to a piece of land, the way to acquire land b'chazaka is, says the Ritva, something very, very important. You have to use the house like a balabais, as if you're the owner, and thus you become the owner because the seller agrees. Okay, let me ask you a question. Let's say I have some oranges, the apples to store in that house, and I store the apples in the house. Is that called chazaka, using the house? No. Yerushalmi says yes. Bavli says no. You have to enjoy it yourself. If you sit in the house, you dwell in the house, yeah, you do something that your own body is enjoying. You sit in the house, let's say, you make changes there. That's another kind of chazaka. That's considered to be chazaka. But if you only used it for your payros, you're using the payros of the house. You're using the house. You got some rent from the house. That's not good enough. You have to use it yourself, your very own self, your own body has to actually benefit from the house, and then it's considered this is a symbolic thing to show that you're the owner. Okay? Obviously not, because there's no agreement from the seller. We're not in the jungle here. We're talking if both seller and buyer agree, and then they decide, okay, let's go for chazoko. There are many all types of options. Let's go for chazoko. If both sellers and buyers agree, and the buyer comes and sits there in the presence of the seller or with the agreement of the seller, that shows is a balabais. The exception to the rule is nichse hager, which we'll see later. Yes, yeah. There's another kind of, there are three types of chazokas. I'm not going to all three. I don't remember the third one, to be honest. The second type of chazoka is when you improve the house. You paint a mural. The Gemara says in Basra, you open the door, you close the door, you make a lock, you lock the door, you show your balabais. That's something else. There's another kind of chazaka. I'm enjoying the house. I'm sitting by the fireplace and reading my Gemara. I'm there as balabais. That is one kind of chazaka. With that in mind, let's continue. Tono bono. Ketzad b'chazaka. What would be a chazaka of an Eved Knaini? How would one acquire his Eved Knaini through chazaka? Hiter loy min oloy. Example number one: the Eved undoes the shoelace of the master. Rashi points out it's the Eved who undoes the shoe of the master, not the other way around. Yeah, in other words, it's not like the master undoes the shoe of the Eved to show something, maybe like humiliating him, like taking off his shoe. No, that's not the point. The point is the Eved serves the body of the Baal Abais. Just like the house, my body has to enjoy that, so too my body has to get service from the Eved. Oi, all kinds of other examples. Yeah, even though it doesn't touch him, but let's say the Eved actually walked and schlepped, carried the master's kalim, the master's towel and shampoo and flip flops, whatever, to the Beis Hamechatz, to the bath house. Yeah, that's one thing that shows my own body is enjoying him. Yeah, I'm now hands free because he's schlepping my stuff. We're going to see also another nafkamina. If shitoi, the eved undresses the master, yeah, that's a service to his body. Erchitzoi, he washes him, he showers him. Sachoi, he uses so lathers his hair. Sachoi anoints him, yeah, with a shampoo, with a soap. Gerdo, like he massages him, gives him a massage. Elbishoi, he dresses him in Eloi. He also put his shoes on. Yeah, in other words, the mamish takes care of the body of the Baal Abayis. Okay, I want to just point out before we continue to another topic, these things you're not supposed to tell your Eved Ivri to do. An Eved Ivri is not supposed to do these things that are so, in a way, degrading, because that's below the dignity of an Eved Ivri. An Eved Ivri, I should wash someone else. Excuse me, who am I? I'm a Jew just like you. An Eved Kanaani, although considered partially Jewish, that's the whole idea. Eved Kanaani, yeah, he belongs to you, and you can tell him. Rambam says not to be cruel to Eved Kanaani, obviously, but you're allowed to tell him any job that has to be done. You know, I don't have koch now to start. I don't know, soaping my body. You soap it for me. Yeah. Now, higbioi knoi. Oh, higbioi. What's higbioi? So it sounds like higbioi. Let's say that the Eved was magbia, the master. The Eved, he picked up the master. I don't know, to help him. Okay, so the Eved needs to be strong enough. He picks up the balabais. All of a sudden, we come into, different terrain. Omar Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Shimon is another opinion in the Braisa, another Tan, and he says, "Lo teheh chazoko gdoilo mehagbo." He says chazoko should not be stronger than hagbo, meaning it's very, very unclear what he says over here, but he's comparing chazoko to hagbo. Up until now, we spoke about chazoko. When I use the Eved for my bodily functions, my bodily needs, then that's chazoko. Yeah, like I'm sitting in the house, I'm being washed by the Eved. Now, chazoko, says Rab Shimon, should not be stronger than kinyan hagbo. What does that mean? Says Rab Shimon, shagbo koine bechol mokoim. Period. What does it mean? There's a kinyan called hagbo. Says Rab Shimon, yeah, chazoko should not be more than hagbo. In other words, Rab Shimon believes that hagbo is also koine. In other words, yeah, Tanakama spoke about one kind of agbo. Rabbi Shimon all of a sudden is talking about another kind of agbo. Soon we're going to deal with that. And he points out that agbo should also be a kinyan. What's kinyan agbo? I think it's time to give you a little share about kinyonim. There are many types. There are more than 20 types of kinyonim I counted, and actually I have a chart about it. But the three kinyonim that are prevalent when it comes to metaltalin are, besides chalipin, which is actually very common, are hagbo, Meshicha, and Mesira. Now, not all of them work everywhere, while Hagba works everywhere. What does it mean? If I come to your house and want to buy your phone from you, and I do Meshicha, it doesn't help. Meshicha means that I'm pulling it into my domain. But if I'm in your house, it's not my domain, right? Okay? Also, Mesira has its issues. A Meshicha is only koine in a quiet street, where I can actually be kohen, or in a place that belongs to both of us, in a place which is public enough, but it's private enough that I can say right now it's designated for me and my Meshicha. Meshicha is kohen like in a small private area outside. HaMesira is stronger in that sense. Mesira, to hold it, which we spoke about yesterday, that also works in Rishus Harabim in a busy street. Hagbo, and that's not so much the point now. Hagbo kohen b'chol mokoim. Kinyan hagbo works everywhere. If I come to your house and I want to buy your watch from you, yeah, I want to go to Rabbi Simkin's house and buy the watch from him, then I can pick up Rabbi Simkin's watch, and that is mine. Why? It's in Rabbi Simkin's house. Says one of the Nosekelim Shulchan Aruch, the Meforshim Shulchan Aruch say, Agbo, it's kilu in my pocket. Agbo is in me. It's in my hand. Something that's in my own hand, it's in my domain, even if I'm in your house. If I'm pulling it, that's something else. It's not in my hands. Agbo, when it's in my hand, and I'm picking up in my hand to show this is my daladamis, my hand is my domain, even if I'm surrounded by your domain. Agbo is koine everywhere. Shosarabim, Rishos Simta, Chotza everywhere. Agbo is the strongest one, and that's commonly done today. People do that, right? When you many times you do kinyan, you do kinyan hagba. Yeah, you want to go to your friend for Chanukah. Today is Chanukah, right? You want to go to a friend. You want to acquire the shemen, or for Shabbos. You want to acquire the candles. You want to buy the candle to be mishtatev b'candle. You can give money. That's a question why. You can also pick up the candle or pick up the oil, and then it's yours. If you magbia, 1 second, please. Yeah. So now asks Rabbi Shimon, how come you're not talking about Agbo? Agbo is koine everywhere, so Agbo should be koine also by an Eved. We need to continue now. Frek the Gemara, Micah Omar. What is he talking about? We're talking about two different opposites. Why did Rabbi Shimon mix in kivyochel something not connected? We are talking up until now about chazoko. What's chazoko? That the Eved serves me. I'm the master. The Eved serves me. If the Eved serves me, it means he washes me and he's magbia me. I want to be picked up now. I want to go to bed now, pick me up and put me in bed, let's say, yeah? I'm being served by him. Why are you now confusing all of a sudden the other kind of agbo, which is a completely different kinyan, just like a magbiya on my phone, says Rab Shimon, it should be magbiya the Eved. Manyan Shmita Lahar Sinai. Answers the Gemara, and thank you for your patience. Omar Ravashi. Ravashi is now reading into the Brisa. It's like a Chisur Mechzer kind of. Igbiyo Yehu L'Raboy Knoi. If he picked up his Rebbe, he picked up the master, then he's koine. Obviously, the master is koine the Eved, as we said before. The Eved picked you up. Yeah, nobody, I can't demand of you to pick me up. Also, I'm very heavy. That's besides the point. Yeah, even if I wasn't, it's not something you ask your friend to do, maybe as a favor. Yeah, only an Eved would do that. But oh, that is to say that if the Reb, if the Yid, if the master picked up the Eved, he did not acquire him. And that's what Tanakama says. So Rabbi Shimon didn't talk out of context. Yeah, Rabbi Shimon answers Tanakama. Tanakama says, if I magbiya an Eved, although if I magbiya a little animal, somebody wants to buy a goat, a little goat. Yeah, Mary had a little, she wants to buy a lamb, right? So now you want to buy a lamb, you want to buy a dog, which I highly disrecommend, yeah, unrecommend. Yeah, you want to buy a dog and buy a cat, then what? You do Hagba. That's a kinyan. You want to buy a watch, a phone, Hagba. Mashen, you want to buy a Sefer Torah, Hagba. Mashenken and Eved, you do Hagba to the Eved, that doesn't work. For human beings, the Hagba doesn't work. It also doesn't work for big animals. Even if you're strong and the Eved is small, Hagba doesn't work, says Tanakama. Rabbi Shimon, now we understand where Rabbi Shimon is absolutely talking in context. Rabbi Shimon is talking very relevant. Why is chazaka greater than agba? When it comes to chazaka, all these weird examples, the guy washes me in the shower and the guy leathers my head. What? We say he's koine chazaka, and agba is less than that? Why? It doesn't make sense. Shagba koine b'chol malkoin. Says Rabbi Shimon, agba is koine everywhere. And if so, agba should also be koine ben Eved knaini. So let's summarize. When it comes to chazaka, everyone agrees, as the Mishnah said, chazaka of all types, all kinds of colorful chazakas, as long as I'm using the Eved, it's chazaka. Comes to hagba, I am agbiya the Eved, which is human being, then we have a question, do we say that the kinyan works or it doesn't work? Bear in mind that we said the Mashiach does work. Mashiach works, yeah? Mashiach, when I'm bringing the Eved into my place, yes. Hagba is not so simple. Hagba, there's a question why. I think I know why. From what I remember from yeshiva, I hope my memory is good. That was 30 years ago. The word of agba is small items. Even if my name is, I don't know, Mike Tyson, yeah, and I'm the master, and I want to be kohen and Eved, and I can pick him up very easily, I'm not putting him in my hand. I'm magbiya like that. The agba has to be something, yeah, that shows that it's a small thing that mat'im, that's suitable to be in my hands. Yeah, even if the dog doesn't exactly fit in my hands, but more or less, it's a kind of thing which you normally pick up. And therefore it shows that's a normal way to do. People pick up dogs, people pick up little lambs, people pick up phones and small computers, and you pick it up, it's good. But Sheikh and Ev, it's not normal to pick him up, so it's not called he's really in your domain. It's a very weird kind of thing. And therefore, that's an issue whether it works or it doesn't work. Yes, Rabbi Simkin. Question. Yes? Oh, so if the Eved was Magbiya the Odon, for sure it works. He's serving me. It's my birthday. You know how much it is to pick up somebody 54 times? It's a lot. Nobody wants to pick me up on my birthday. So the Eved does that, right? So then it's called Agbo. That's kinyan. I'm using him. Mashenke, and when I Magbiya him, that's questionable. Because it's not supposed to that Agbo is a kinyan suitable for a big person. Yeah? It's not somebody you normally pick up. No, it's a separate kinyan called That's a different kinyan. That was our issue. It's a different kinyan. Zog the Gemara. Now comes a very interesting question about kinyan bia. Who's the only person you can be koine bebia by having relations? A woman, your wife. And even that, we already said before, Rav already used to hit people who do that. It's lo tzanua. Zog the Gemara. Wait a second. Hashta de omar tigbia yule rabbi knoi. Now that you tell me that he's magbia, the master, then the master is koine him, right? I show authority when he picks me up, right? If so, elamat, according to that, wait a second, shifcha knainis tikone bebia. Maybe a shifcha knainis should be nikne if a master has relations with her. Interesting. You're not allowed to have relations with the shifcha knainis, but maybe here it's allowed mitzad kinyan. Interesting. In other words, because the man is on top, the master is on her. Rashi says, Lamaisa, she's magbiya him, she's lakilu lifting him in an interesting way, and therefore it's called maybe kinyan agbo. Yeah, not kinyan agbo, excuse me, I made a mistake, it's kinyan chazoko. Chazoko through agbo. The chazoko shows ownership by her, yeah, being below and he's above. So maybe that kinyan should be a form of kinyan chazoko, the B of the girl. Answers the Gemara, no. Kikamrinan, you know when hagboha, meaning chazoko of hagboha works, when the Eved picks me up, when you see clearly who's enjoying himself and who's mitztayr. In other words, when the master enjoys being picked up, yeah, he's benefiting that the Eved picks him up, and the Eved is mitztayr. The Eved is not in pain, the Eved is exerting himself. The Eved is in labor, yeah, the Eved is working. Yeah, that's clearly, he's not enjoying it. When you pick up somebody heavy, that's not enjoyable, yeah, and therefore, you see he's the master and he's the Eved. But the case of having relations, oh, in other words, because both sides enjoy themselves, both sides have hano, both the man and the woman, the shifcha, that's not called chazoko. Chazoko means I'm using it and not both of us using each other, so to speak. And therefore that won't work. Okay, if so, shaloi kedalko ma'ikal meima, what would you say if the bia is shaloi kedalko? The bia is not the normal way. And the shaloi kedalko, by definition, or so we think, is a kinyan, not always a kinyan, it's relations that a woman doesn't enjoy herself. The woman doesn't enjoy it because it's not the normal way. It's not face to face. It's not the normal way, and it's not hana. No. So if he's on top and she's not enjoying herself, maybe that's called a kinyan chazaka. Chazaka through agbo. Omar Ravachai bar Ada Demin Acha. So he has two answers. First of all, I'll tell you why it doesn't work. Man lemalan delava no islu v'tovayu. How do you know that they don't both enjoy themselves? Yeah, the Gemara is tzad and the Rishonim have tzad that even shaloi kedarka, there's some level of hana even by the woman. Even the woman is enjoying herself to some point, and therefore, how do you know? Maybe she's also enjoying herself a little bit, and therefore it's not clear. It's not a dichotomy. It's not a clear-cut case of him benefiting and her serving, and therefore it doesn't work. The oid. In another answer, it says in the Torah, mishkevei isha ksiv. When it talks about lo leinu, two men being together, I think we mentioned that a few times before. In Daf Tes, we mentioned it, by the way. We saw it in Daf Tes, and Daf Yud Amud Aleph also. It says, yeah, mishkevei isha. What's mishkevei isha? A man should not be with another man in a way of a woman. And mishkav, I don't know, it's a nice word for that, yeah, relations, whatever, of a woman, yeah? If so, what do you mean? It's men being together and it's compared to a woman. What does it come to say? When two men are together, chlila, the only way is shaloi kedarka. There is no darka there, even if they try very hard. It's possible that's the only way. And if so, the Torah calls that mishkeve isha. What does it come to say? Ekisha kosuv kedarko l'shaloi kedarko. Some say shaloi kedarko l'kedarko, which means the Torah has a rule, and that rule applies across the board. Maybe for Basula it's a question, but Lamaisa, when a man and a woman have relations, shaloi kedarka, the only one that is enjoying himself is the man, the woman is not, because he's not with her the normal way. There, although one could argue and say that's not called normal relations, that's a crazy thing. So maybe an Eshesish would be potter, maybe Nida should be potter, maybe a Goita, the Rabbanon, maybe, I don't know. Yeah, says the Torah, no. Every time you have relations with a woman, even shaloi kedarka, and it's forbidden woman, forbidden relationship, it's as bad as kedarka. Yeah, it's not a way out. You can't, get off the hook by saying I was with my friend's wife, shaloi kedarka, right? That doesn't work. So what? Oh, so here too, although the woman slave was shaloi kedarka and possibly did not enjoy herself, but since the Torah views this mishkav like the mishkav darka, like the regular mishkav, the regular thing, yeah. Therefore, what we look at them both together as if they're the same. And just like darka doesn't work because she doesn't enjoy herself, so to shaloi kedarka, when she doesn't enjoy herself, also is not going to work. There is other pshat in the Rishonim. Many Rishonim claim that shaloi kedarka, like the first answer, when the Torah says it's osir, it's because the Torah says there's a little bit of anoah there. Yeah, there's a bit of anoah there also for the woman, and that's why it's considered as osir, and that's why here too the shifcha is not his shifcha. She does not become his shifcha because she's not really subjugated to him. In that Maisa, she also has some kind of enjoyment. And that has to do with Tosfos in Bavakama. Tosfos Bavakama Daf Lamed Beis Amud Aleph asks a good question. All Tosfos question are a good question. The question is, we know that if a woman Lo Leinu gets raped, Khalila, why don't you kill her? Because she didn't do anything. Not raped even, he caught her in the middle of a dark alley. Let's say somebody told her at gunpoint, whatever, come to me tomorrow, 9 o'clock in the morning, and we'll do what I want. Yeah. Then what? Even then, she's potter. Why? Or I kill you. Or I kill you. Why is she potter? She's passive. She's really, really, really not interested, but she's under death threat. Even not mamish like this. Yeah. But he would kill her for sure. He's the tsar. He's the, I don't know, the master, the mafia leader. And then what? Why is she potter? Because she's passive. So Frektor says, wait a second. Many times women are passive in relationship. Yeah. In relations. Yeah. Let's say the Isha says, I'm very interested and very happy that the guy came on me, but I was passive. Why isn't she potter? Because when she's passive, she's nehene. She's chayva nahano. If she wanted it, that means it's hano. The one is considered as if she's active because she's nehene. Therefore, shaloi kedarko, the Rishonim saying, you must say she's also nehene, that's what she's chayiv. So must be there's some kind of somewhere, somewhat hano, and therefore she's chayiv, unless she's mamish be'oines, be'rape, or the like. Weiter. Back to the inyan of avodim. Real life story of a ger. Wow, wow, wow. This is exciting what we're about to see now. Why? Because we always learn about nichse hager. What's nichse hager? If a ger dies and left no children, therefore he has no heirs, right? Just heir, no heir, not with an H. And therefore his nechosim, all his assets, kalkois, metaltalin, avodim, grandma, all the nechosim are hefker. And then who can take it? Anybody. When the ger dies, you better be close by. Yeah, and chap whatever you want from the ger's nechosim, unless, of course, he wrote a will. If he wrote a will, then it goes to whoever are the recipients of the will. Yeah, Mashenken, if the ger is will-less and childless, his wife is not Yerushim, by the way. A woman is not automatically Yerush her husband unless he decided. So now anybody can chap and have a whole chagiga over there. Okay, now real life story about a ger. Rabbi, according to some versions, this was an Amoira. Wow. Rabbi Yehuda Hindua. Rabbi Yehuda was Hindua either from Kush or from India. He was either from India, Hindua, or Rashi says Eretz Kush, maybe Africa. Mehoidu Vad Kush. They decided Ethiopia, who art school. Okay, Ethiopia. Rashi says Kush, but it's not clear. There's a, with all due respect, Mechloikis, whether Hoidu Ad Kush, Mechloikis Gemara Megillah, Mefurash. Whether Hoidu Vat Kush was from India till Africa, or some say Kush was nearby. Kush was a place near Africa, near India, and he controlled the Chashverosh, the entire world, from one end to the other. You know what I'm saying? Like Israel and, let's say, Jordan, you travel through the Mediterranean, you do the entire globe, you'll eventually get to Jordan from the back door, yeah? So I'm saying Kush is somewhere, either around Ethiopia or around India. Bekitzer was a ger. Was a dark-skinned guy. Yeah, he was Rabbi Yehuda Hindua. Ger she'en lo yoshin hava. Oh, he was a ger without yoshim. Guys, this is a case. He was a ger and he had no yoshim. Hava cholash. Yeah, and he became sick. He got weaker and weaker and sicker. Al marzuto l'shiulebe. Marzuto the Amoira came to his house to ask about him, to visit him, to pay him a bikur cholim visit. Okay, all very nice up until now. Chazye, all of a sudden, Marzutra saw the takif le'al matuva, that the world is becoming strong for him. I don't know what that means. It means that he was dying. It was a goises. Goises, there's no word for it in English. In English, you say dying. He was dying already, yeah? In Hebrew, there's the word goses. Goses is not sick and not dead. It's about to die. He's a dying, and it's process of his mamish about to die. So now, he was about to die, the ger. So now, Marzutra has a chance, an opportunity to cash in. Omer Lila Avdei, Rab Marzutra approached the Eved of the dying ger, of the dying Rabbi Yehuda Hindua, and told the Eved, Shloifli Mesanoi, take off my Mesanoi, my shoe, Mesania's shoe, you know that. Shloifli Mesanoi, take off my shoe, Vamtinhu Lebesa, and walk with it all the way to my house. What's the idea? The idea is as follows. Marzutra wanted to stay, obviously, with Rabbi Yehuda Hindua to help him, to say Krishma, to escort him, in his last moments. On the other hand, he wanted to acquire the Eved. Listen to the smart move here. He wanted the Eved to be involved in doing something for him, for Mazutra, while the ger owner dies. Why? In other words, if the ger owner will die, and then 1 minute or a few seconds will pass, and the Eved will have no owners, the Eved will be Hefker and will acquire himself. Because the Eved is koine apparently in the death of the Odoin. It wasn't mentioned in the Mishnah because most people have Yorshim. Yeah, most people, when the master dies, automatically the Eved goes to the Zisa Kinderlach, to the boys, the girls, brothers, cousins, second cousin. By a ger that has no Yorshim, what happens? The Eved becomes Hefker. Now the Eved, being an Eved Knaini, can acquire himself from Hefker. I'm the first one to be koine myself. He wanted to avoid that Marzutra. He wanted the Eved to be involved with work for him, for Marzutra, so when the ger dies, he'll be automatically, he chaps him before the death. So at the moment of death, the owner already is Marzutra right the first second. There's no moment in time, no window of opportunity. He goes straight from one master to the other master that had in mind. That's why he said it's not enough to say take off my shoe. If he took off his shoe and then Rav Yehuda and the ger would die, that would be too late. Take it to my house, hoping that on the way from the ger's house to Marzutra's house, he'll be involved in doing something for Marzutra. So then Marzutra is already the owner. That's chazoko. Everybody can be koine bechazoko from nichse ger. If there's nichse ger and I go and I quickly lock the door, the ger dies and I quickly go, second after his death, I lock the door, I build the fence quickly, I do something, I close, I paint the wall. Oh, I'm a balabais. Ikadamri. Now, question now is how old was the Eved? And soon you'll see it makes a difference. Yes, questions? Quick one now. It's a bit of just to point to relate to a certain point you made here. Basically, I don't think Marzutra was a greedy person. First of all, why not having an Eved? It's very convenient. But secondly, Marzutra wanted to make sure that Eved doesn't go free because it's not good to have free avodim kanainim. Apparently, la'olam bem ta'avoidu means, to free an Eved kanani wasn't a good thing. I guess even after they're free, they're not. They make trouble one way or the other. So they better stay avodim. That's what's best for them. That's good for them. So now that's first. Secondly, you're asking a good question. Does the Eved have to listen to the other person? L'chorah, no. However, I have a vague memory. I'm not sure. I have some kind of vague memory, fuzzy, that if Rav Yehuda Indo is happy with the other person telling the Eved what to do, then the Eved does have to listen. If I have an Eved and I tell serve Tzvi a cup of coffee, then he has to serve a cup of coffee. So I don't know where he was dying, so I don't know if Rav Yehuda cared about it. What? Could be, right. True, fine, could be. Oh, Elamai, David listened. Akasha of Maisa. David did listen. So the Maisa was machzikin. That was the story. Let's just continue. Ikadamri, some say Godel Hava. Some say that the Eved was old enough, meaning he was over bar mitzvah. There's bar mitzvah by Evodim too. It's not funny. Why? Because they also are, there's a concept of Gadlus. In other words, what does Godel mean? Because the Eved was a Godel, he could have acquired himself. That's why Marzutra was so concerned, right? Because the Eved had the Eved be free for 1 second, and he's a Godel, he's an Eved, Knaini, his master is dead, so now he would say, hey, I'm Jewish, I'm koine myself, and I'm Godel. 13 years old and above can be koine. That's why there was an issue, as opposed to a cotton, which we'll see soon. Now, Rav Yehuda Indo died, and Rav and Marzutra stayed alive. In other words, they split, and therefore there was no split second of the Eved being alone, being free, right? He got straight from the death of the master, straight away into being owned by the live person, which was Marzutra, very good. But a cotton would not. Oh, according to this opinion, let's say the Eved was a cotton, let's say the Eved was 10 years old, 11 years old, he has no way of being koine himself, then there would be no reason to rush. Let's say an Eved is below bar mitzvah and he cannot be koine anything from Hefker. So then, what's the big worry? Even if the Eved Koton is there in the house lazing about after the death of his master, he cannot decon himself from Hefker because he's a Koton, according to this opinion. Okay, that's what this opinion holds. And some say Koton Hava, some say no. The other version of the story says the Eved was young, the Eved was underage, and as such, even though he was a Koton, still he could decon himself. Very interesting. A Koton, regularly a Koton, cannot buy something from Hefker. Let's say my 8 years old, if he wants to go to the field and start picking things from Hefker, no, they're not his. They're mine, actually, yeah? Mashenken by an Eved that he himself is himself, even a Koton can be koiner, I guess because he's closer to himself. He doesn't have to get something from the outside. But the Loike Abashol, and this, the second version, does not fit into the opinion of Abashol. And you'll see what Abashol says. The Tanya, it says in the Brisa. Yeah, you'll see now everything will be clear. The machlokas, whether Koton yes or Koton no. Now it will all be clear. Ger Shemes, a ger died, ubizbezu yisol nechosov. Not so clear what bizbezu. Usually bizbezu means they wasted, they spent. In this case, bizbezu yisol nechosov, other Jews came and wanted to party. The ger died, the ger had money. Now the other Israelim can go and benefit from his nechosim. Bizbezu they wanted to use, to acquire, to benefit, that's the word, from his nechosim. Okay, so far so good. They can take the computer, they can take the shots, they can take the sofa, all very nice. However, some of the assets of the ger, of the dead ger, were avodim. Ben gdoilim, ben ktanim, konu atzman bnei choyerin tanakama. Tanakama, unlike Abashol, which we'll see, Tanakama says both gdolim and ktanim acquire themselves and the bnei choyerin. The second that the ger dies, closes his eyes and returns his soul to its maker. What happens? The avodim are free. Avodim are free. They're free. So even the ktanim are just automatically free. Either you see they were koine themselves because they are themselves. They don't have to do a myself kinyan. I'm just myself. Finished. I'm koine myself. I'm using myself. And therefore, even though they're ktanim, they're koine themselves and they're free. Goodbye. And that's why, according to this opinion, even if the Eved was young, then Mazutra had to play that shtick to avoid that, even if it was Yikoton. However, the second opinion says not like Abashol. What does Abashol say? Abashol oimer gdoilim konu atzma b'nei choyerin tanim kol machzik ben zocho behen. Very good. So the gdoilim, they acquire themselves as b'nei choyerin. In other words, we don't see that it's an automatic. I'm koine myself because I'm just myself. No, there has to be. It's viewed like a kinyan. So the Gdolim can acquire anything from Hefker, the Gadol people, they can acquire a mushroom from Hefker, they can acquire themselves from Hefker. But the Ktanim, they don't have the right to get anything from Hefker, so too, even they themselves cannot become themselves from Hefker, and therefore by Ktanim, no rush. As long as nobody else took, let's say the Ger died. I would love to have an Eved Koton, is quicker, swifter, he doesn't have his own opinions, yeah. He's a little boy, he'll do, whatever the master says, beautiful. Then what? Then, according to the second opinion, which is Abashon, 5 minutes, 1 hour, as long as other Jews didn't come and take the Eved Koton, the Eved Koton will be yours. Whoever first comes, first served, because the Eved Koton himself is not going himself from the Hefker. The Koines Atzmai Bekesef. Now we have to get into the charts. And the simple chart is on the board. I think it's quite clear today. We have Rabbi Meir and Rabbanon. We have money and shtar. Okay, we have 4 checkers right now. We'll add a few later. So now let's just repeat what the Mishnah said. I'm now reading what the Mishnah said. Actually, I'm saying bracha first. What did we say in the Mishnah? We have two spaces here to fill, money and shtar. What did Rabbi Meir say? You want to see in the Mishnah? The Mishnah says that the Eved Knaini, according to Rabbi Meir, how does he acquire himself? Says Rabbi Meir, Koines Atzma Bekesef Alidei Acherim. Right? Says Rabbi Meir, when it comes to money, then others, they can give money. Others can give money to the master, right? And then the master will have to set him free. Not the Eved himself, because the Eved himself, as Ellen said before, has no money. There's no way an Eved can have money. And if it's with shtar, then only he himself. Yeah, him. Then he can do that. Shtar, who should the Eved give the shtar shichur to? To the Eved himself and not to other people. So it seems, at least at first glance, and the question is why. And Rabbanan said just the other way around. Rabbanan said with money, yeah, it's him, and with shtar, it's others. And of course, we have to understand why. And obviously, the question is, I said something which you don't have to agree with. I said when it says others means not him and not others. It's exclusive. And it's also a question. Maybe it's both him and others. Yeah. Is it exclusive? And what's going on here anyways? Before we continue, we have to know a few factors here. There are really three questions here at stake. There are three questions that we have to focus on. The first question, which to you seems to be simple, but is really a question, although an Eved cannot own anything, everyone agrees to that, there's a machloikas, there are two opinions regarding, can I give an Eved money? I'm a person on the outside, and I'm pro-liberty and liberalism and avoiding being free or partially free, having rights. What do? I give an Eved money and say, this is your money, on condition that you will not be owned by your master. Can I do that or not? Like everything else in Torah, almost machloikas. Some say an Eved is completely has no ownership, no yad, no nothing, and others say that's a lomdus. I'm telling you something lomdus. Some say Eved has a yad, but his yad is connected to the master. Yad is like a financial authority. Yeah, the yad is connected to the master. So if I say I'm disconnecting your hand from his hand, I'm giving you money and not him. So that's question number one. Yes or no? Can an Eved ever own any money? That's question number one. Question number two, and this is also very crucial. Everybody thinks that to be free is a good thing, and it's true, it's good to be free. Does freedom mean behaving like a behemoth? Well, some people think yes, but that's another question. So now, when an Eved is an Eved, so we all say, oh, yo, this is like a scene from Roots, as if the Eved is suffering all the time. The Eved Knaini, yeah, Roots, yeah, good. So the Eved Knaini, what about the Eved Knaini? From a Goisha point of view, and excuse me, from Yetzer Hara point of view, the Eved is having fun. Because once he is free, what is he supposed to do? Marry and settle down and marry one woman, maybe two if he has money. When he's an Eved Knaini, then he gets to have relations with as many girls as he wants. He has all the Shifchas Knanius over there. There's no marriage by them. He's playing the field. He's like a college student. He does whatever he wants all the time. So for an Eved Knaini, it's not so simple that it's considered a gain, a profit, a zchus for him to become free. Again, a machloikis. Some say that for an Eved Knaini to become free is a zchus, because according to real hashkafa, it's a good thing. He owns his own thing. He becomes a mensch. He becomes a good, hopefully good member of society. Yeah, that's the real truth. But the way he looks at it, not necessarily so. And what about if the Eved Knaini belongs to Cohen, gets free truma? Eved Knaini can look at you and you and you and you, and he can look at everybody except for Yaakov and say, I'm better than you. I eat the truma of the coin. And Eved Knaini eats a truma of a coin. If he's owned by a coin, you own an Eved Knaini, yes? If you own one, you want to buy one? If you own one, he can eat your truma. Well, I can't. So he gets money. He gets food, free food. He gets a lot of truma. So it's not so simple that to be free is a zchus or a choiva. Is it a benefit or is it considered something to his detriment? And the third issue we'll see later. The third issue we'll leave for later. It's getting late. Third issue is Gitav Yoda Boim Kechav. To be continued. Let's read through the whole thing nice and slow, and the Gemara will slowly and surely build the whole explanation about all these freedom options. The coin is atzma bekesef. Bekesef. So what did Rabbi Meir say? When it comes to money, then he buys himself, through others. And sorry, the bekesef l'de'acherim. Bekesef l'de'acherim. Says the Gemara. Bekesef l'de'acherim. According to Rabbi Meir, when you want to free an Eved, it has to be if it's with money. If you opt for the money option, then other people have to give money to the master. Assumes the Gemara, you're probably trying to tell me, right? In other words, money by others. Let's add one more word. I'm not saying it because it's going to change. Only only others. But if the Eved wants to give money, he can't. Why? Because Rabbi Meir thinks, like Ellen, Rabbi Meir says an Eved never has his own money. What do you mean the Eved's own money? There's no such thing. It's like my sixth finger. No such thing. Only others can give money to the master. And finished. Okay, very nice. Okay, I hear. Now trouble is coming. What are we talking about? What are you talking about? When you say that other people give the money to the master, is he aware of that? Excuse me. Does the Eved know that the Jewish version of Abraham Lincoln is now giving money to his master? Does the Eved know? Does he want it? His consent? What's going on with Mitzad the Eved? The Eved has his own mind and his own aspirations. If you want to tell me that those goody goodies that give money to the master without the knowledge of the Eved, Rabbi Meir believes in the following concept. Rabbi Meir says, the Omar, Rabbi Meir believes that it is a choiv. Yeah, it is not for the benefit. It is to the detriment of an Eved to go out. The Eved wants to be with 5 shiksas. That's what he wants, and just be an Eved, not be free. And he gets the food from the coin from his master. That is what he wants. You are doing something for him without his knowledge that he most probably is not interested in. You're working behind his back and doing something which he's not happy with necessarily, or we don't know, or we assume not. Betnina, it's a Mefursha Mishnah and Gittin, and it appears in Bava Metzia and many other places. This is a Shas class rule. You can only do things behind someone's back without his knowledge if it's good for him. Let me explain. If I walk down the street and I see an envelope with $1 million are in the envelope, and I decide now that I'm Magbia, we had it in Bava Metzia, Daf Yudish, yeah, Yud base around there. I pick up the envelope. For me, I don't need anything. I'm like a victim. I don't need anything for myself. So I'm picking it up for who? I'm picking it up for Yitzchak tea every day, $1 million. So now my hand is like Yitzchak's hand. I'm Yitzchak's shaliach. How can I be Yitzchak's shaliach and pick it up for him? And once I picked it, it belonged to Yitzchak straight away, even though he may be in a different country. How does it work? Shlichus? Yes. I don't need you to make me shliach. Why? Because I'm sure you want $1 million. It's as if you sent me without unverbally, right? So mimela zchus I can do. But let's say I want to pick up for you some kind of debt, a check that says, I don't know, some kind of, document that says that Yitzchak owes somebody else $1 million, even if I pick it up on your behalf. No, I can't work on your behalf if it's against you. So excuse me, something here doesn't work right. Are you telling me that those other people can give money without his knowledge? No. According to Rabbi Meir, you chose Rabbi Meir, bad choice. Because Rabbi Meir believes that it's bad for the... Not that Rabbi Meir really thinks that. Rabbi Meir is not promoting pritzes. Rabbi Meir is reading this into the psychology of the Eved. The Eved is not a Baal Musar. He's not a Hasidic Shayit. Yeah, Rabbi Meir says Eved is an Eved. Be real. So how can other people do things for him against his will, right? Doesn't make sense. Ela Pshita must be, but therefore by default. Midaitoi, okay, must be. They did it with his consent. Rashi says Imamish asked them to do it. Omerloi, yeah, he told them. They know that he wants for sure. He expressed his wish to be free, be out of there. He doesn't want the shiksas. He wants his freedom. All very good. Midaito, okay. So what's a chiddush? Why not? Everybody can work on behalf of other people if the other people are interested. What's a big chiddush? Eved. What's v'okomash malan alidei chermin alidei atzmoi loy. That's a chiddush, which I already prefaced. I was spoon feeding you a little bit. I'm sorry. But I told you before, the Gemara says now, it's not the Chiddush that others can pay the money. That's not a Chiddush. The Chiddush is the reverse side. The converse is what? That the Eved himself cannot give money. Why? Alma, that is to say, en kinyan Eved beloy raboy. Oh, very good. According to Rabbi Meir, I'm soon going to write it. I'm not writing it on purpose. Others is not a Chiddush. Others can give money. Of course they can. If he wants, everybody's happy. The Chiddush is that he cannot. Only others. If he wants to give money, there is no money of him. He would never own money. He's not into ownership b'chlal. There's no kinyan le'eved without his rav, which means the master would always own it. So, yeah, it's a cycle. And that's really the chiddush of Rabbi Meir, money. Others? Okay, no questions for now unless it's really urgent. We're in the middle of the jungle now. Allow me 5 more minutes. Money by others, yes, it's not a chiddush. The chiddush is only if he wants to give money, even if the other people say, hey, Abdallah, take the money, it will be only yours and not your master. It doesn't help. He can do only 10 times. He won't be his. No, you'll be belonging to the Odin, and then again, yeah, there's no him giving money of his to the Odin, which just never happened, and that's a chiddush. Okay, if so, look what happens in the second part of the Mishnah, according to Rabbi Meir. B'shtar lidei atzmoi. Oh, b'shtar lidei atzmoi. When it comes to shtar, then what? It's him. He's the one who should receive the shtar, and not other people. Other people cannot receive a shtar on his behalf. Alidei atzmo in, only him. Aldecherim loy. Again, only here, only others, only himself. Why not? You just said that both the entire story here is with the full knowledge and consent of the Eved. So what's going on here? Ve'imi daitoi, if he wants it, is interested, aldecherim ameloi. Why not? Why not? Why should others not be able to receive the shtar for him? If the Eved says, yes, please free me for this horrible balabais, and then those nice people from Detroit, from New York, they come and they what? What do? They negotiate with the balabais. Why can't they come and receive the shtar instead of the Eved? Just like money. What's the difference? V'chi tema. Now, so maybe you want to break the equation and say, ma'ilidei atzmoi, afalidei atzmoi. Maybe it's different. Here, it's not so good, but maybe money, only others, he doesn't have his own money. Let me write already. Others only. He doesn't have his own money. Only others. And not him, because he doesn't know. Fine. Maybe when it comes to him, the shtar, doesn't make sense only he should receive the shtar and not others. If they're working on his benefit, for his benefit, because he wants it, because he said he wants it. Even going to Remeir. So then we said, you know what? En chinami. When we said him, it's not only him, even him. Right now we want to say not only, but even him, even he can receive his shtar, and not only others. Why should that be a chiddush that he can receive his own shtar? Here comes the third factor in the equation, which I didn't tell you before. Vakamash malan to be mechadish the gitoy v'yoda boim ke'echad. This is a very, 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 very hard thing to explain. This in yeshiva we spent days over it, if not weeks. Gita v'yoda boim ke'echad is as follows. Did it ever occur to you that to free an Eved by giving him a shtar is impossible? Can I pay myself a shtar? Can I divorce myself, pay myself? I am myself. You can't, it's a game, it's a shtus. So if a person who owns an Eved gives the Eved a shtar, right? The Eved belongs to him, right? So he gave himself a shtar, right? He has no yad. The Eved has no yad. I'm not going to translate yad many times. Yad is a separate authority, a separate entity. If the Eved has no yad, so how can the Eved receive a get? When a woman receives a get, and a woman, actually Rashi says it here, in other places, a woman does not belong to her husband. If any anti-Torah person tells you that, no. Nikna means her issues, her wifehood, so to speak. She is a person, she has her own yad. There's a financial agreement, she has to give him everything unless blah, blah, blah. But when a woman sticks out her hand and he puts the get into her hand, very good. There's him, there's her. He gave her. X gave to Y. When a man gives his Eved, and Eved has no ownership, no personality, not personality, has no yad, who did he give it to? A tremendous chiddush here. Gita v'yoda b'hem ke'echad. By the way, you should read the footnotes in the chart. I put a lot of effort in the footnotes, and I'm explaining very, very briefly what's Gita v'yoda. I highly recommend to look at the chart and look at the notes. Yeah, Gita v'yoda b'hem ke'echad means his get and his hand come at once simultaneously. When the master gives him the get, yeah, so Ki'ilu gains a hand. When he gave him the shtar, he gained an entity, he gained independence enough to receive the shtar, and now he's independent. Of course, it's crazy, it doesn't make sense. Oh, but it's very difficult, because first you have to have a yad, you received it in the yad, and then you're independent. But then only when you're dependent, you have a yad. So somehow there's a magic. If the Torah said that the Eved gets, the shtar and becomes free, somehow, I don't know how, it was over 30 years ago when we learned it. Somehow the freedom and the ability to attain freedom are all in one. Don't ask me. That's the way it goes. But that's a tremendous chiddush. Oh, so now when we said shtar, questions are accumulating. I'm sorry, this is in the middle of the jungle. When we say he receives the star, obviously other people can receive a star because they have their own authority. They have their own yad. And they can say, listen, we have our own yad. My name is Freedom Slave Liberator, Mr. Akiva. And I'm what? And I'm receiving the get on behalf of the Eved, and my yad is separate than him, but I'm working on his behalf. Take it out of your cycle, Mr. Owner, and give me the star. That's less of a chiddush. The chiddush is that even the Eved himself, who normally doesn't have a yad, even he receives the star, can become free. And that's a chiddush. Now, okay, maybe that's pshat. There'll be a good pshat. I mean, it wouldn't be exactly homogenic and nice because this is only others and this is even him. But so what? We could tolerate that. The problem is, V'aloi tani hachi. There's a mefurish brisa that says not like that. It's a nice idea, says the Gemara, but there's a brisa who explains the Mishnah differently. The Tanya, it says in the brisa, b'shtar alidei atzmoi v'loi lidechem divrei Rabbi Meir. Oy boy. What? Only. It says mefurish. B'shtar, only he can get it, and others cannot get the star for him. And Leman Hashem, why? Now the question is, why not others? Why should others not receive the star for him? We said that in this case, although usually the Eved likes spiritus and good food and this, here the Eved says, I want to be free, free me. If so, why can't they receive the star for him and the money they can? What's the difference between money and star? Okay, you know what? I'm actually going to allow questions now. Anyhow, I'm not going to do this today. Just remember for tomorrow, where are we holding? We're holding Rabbi Meir. There seems to be a contradiction in Rabbi Meir. In other words, other people can give money to the Odoin and be without the Eved, either without or with the Eved knowing, yeah? Whichever way you explain it, it's a stira, yeah? Because if you're telling me, let's say that the Eved wants it, and other people may work on his behalf, also by star. If the Eved wants it, why could other people not receive the star for him? If it's for his benefit and he's asking for it, that's a question, very simple question, Rabbi Meir. Now it's time for your questions. Yes, no, Ellen was first. Thank you very much. I will just finish the shiur now for the YouTube participants. Hatzlacha bracha. Thank you. A good Chanukah, a good Chodesh, Yeshuas v'nechomas, a good Shabbos, and may there will be peace in the Eretz Yisrael and in the world.